Sri Lanka's political crisis is now hitting citizens at the gas pump with record high prices. In an effort to conserve fuel, the embattled government is asking people to work from home and has closed schools. Restaurants have switched to cooking meals with wood. Thousands of protesters, enraged by the country's worsening economic crisis, stormed the presidential compound and the Prime Minister's private home over the weekend. Both the President and Prime Minister have agreed to step down. Opposition leaders are racing to form a new government. We take a closer look now at how the crisis is affecting the lives of citizens in the country's capital, Colombo.
For 7 days, Azam Mohadeen has been waiting here in a kilometre-long line for gas in Sri Lanka's capital, Colombo. He'd heard a new fuel delivery was coming. He's spent day and night here since.
There is simply no more fuel. We have no more gas at home to cook. We used to have an income, but for weeks now the money has stopped coming. We can't go on like this. Life is hard.
To make matters worse, his wife is ill. He tries to spend a little time with her every day at lunchtime, risking losing his place in line.
I keep calling him when he is there waiting. It's the tormenting thoughts that have made me sick. I was even admitted to hospital. We didn't even have fuel for him to drive me there.
Many people in Sri Lanka face similar problems. Inflation is soaring and prices are skyrocketing, even for essentials like food. Hardly anyone can afford to buy what they need.
People used to have 3 meals a day most of the time. Now it's either 2 or 1. Sometimes people are drinking water instead of eating.
We don't know what to do, what to give our children. They say they're hungry, but we don't have anything for them.
We can't drink tea with milk anymore. We have no milk powder. We just about managed to buy rice, but even that is very expensive.
Another day has gone by in the line for gas. And for Azam Mohadeen, it's again been fruitless. His one hope that after the resignation of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, better times will finally come.
Only when we get problems like the fuel crisis solved can we live a life worth living. I haven't lost faith yet that a new government will give us fresh hope, and change will finally happen.
Until then, Azam Mohadeen will spend another night in line, hoping that he will finally get a few litres of fuel.
Lawyer and human rights campaigner Pavani Fonseca joins us from the Centre for Policy Alternatives in Colombo. There are reports that the president and his brother are already attempting to leave the country. Can you tell us how this is going down with protesters?
Well, what we've seen in the last few days is quite remarkable in terms of the numbers that have arrived at the protest sites. And as a result, we've seen the president agreeing to resign, as well as the prime minister agreeing to resign. They have yet to resign, and this is something we need to keep in mind, that a few days later, we still have a president and prime minister holding on to office. And now it's been reported that the president and his younger brother attempted to leave Sri Lanka. We are waiting for verified information, but it also looks like people at the airport as well as staff members prevented them from leaving. So there's real anger and frustration among people in Sri Lanka, and it looks like people also want a reckoning from the political leadership for the present crisis.
I want to bring us back to this storming of the presidential palace. The footage we saw was absolutely amazing. Was it a clear sign that this is the end of President Rajapaksa and his family's grip on politics?
Well, we need to keep in mind that the protest started several months ago. The protest started in March, and it's expanded and spread to different parts of Sri Lanka. And the demand has been very much clearly for the resignation of the president, as well as the departure of the Rajapaksas from active politics. So the warning signs have been there. People have been peacefully protesting for months. What happened on Saturday, as you quite rightly said, was remarkable in terms of the numbers that came out and the fact that after months of protesting, they were able to breach and enter both the presidential palace as well as the official office, the secretariat. So that sent a clear message that time was up and the president had to resign, as well as the prime minister. And in that context, it's still shocking that they're still holding on to office because the people have been very clear with their demand.
When it comes to the process of appointing new political leaders, will they have the legitimacy to bring about the political stability that's needed in the country?
Well, we are in a political and economic crisis, and stability is critical, and it's incumbent on anyone who's going to take on the job that this is going to be given priority to ensure that there is economic recovery. Now, it's going to be a mammoth task as to whoever takes it on, how they're going to address this, and it will require a lot of attention and support. But there's a clear path in terms of a resignation of the president. The Constitution provides for a clear path. There can be an acting president who can be in office for 30 days, and it's up to Parliament to then elect a member of Parliament to serve the remainder of the period. So there's a clear Constitution provision and a pathway to address that. Whoever takes it on will also require the support of Parliament. So their legitimacy will really be dependent and will be tested in the coming weeks and months as to whether they are able to address it. The opposition leader has come forward and said he is interested. So the next few days are going to be interesting and fluid in Sri Lanka.
Pavani Fonseca, thank you very much for bringing us up to date on the situation there.